therapists were great. I loved them. They were great. Great qualifications, great intentions. But for whatever reason, he just wasn't finding the sessions fun anymore. And that was like a really big wake-up call to how important fun in therapy especially is. Because without that, the engagement's not there, the willingness isn't there, and you're not getting results.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Hello, everyone. It is great to be here again with you, Dana, to continue our conversation.
You know I love being here.
So good.
So good, yes.
It's been such a great start to season 3.
Hasn't it?
Oh, I'm learning so much. The incredible families that are coming in and sharing. They're so brave.
So great. And the fact that the F words just really bring out those areas in life that you often don't talk about when you think about like having to go to therapy and appointments. Like, how does this even fit in? But it's so important. The different perspectives. My goodness.
I'm just learning so much. And I'm really looking forward to the families that we're getting in for this new topic. It's a very fun topic.
Is it really fun?
It's so fun.
Do you think the word might be
fun? So
it's a good one.
It's a great one. And there's some great people coming in to share. But I thought, let's spend today just introducing fun, what fun looks like in the scheme of the F words and foundation of F words. And so let's start with you, Dana. As always, we love to hear your interpretation, your take on it from a therapist's perspective. We'd love to hear more about your thoughts on fun.
Oh, look, I could talk about this till the cows come home.
Bet.
I'm pretty sure I said that before we started this. I'm like, it's about fun. I could talk about this so much. So fun, to start off with, it doesn't mean easy. It just means that we're enjoying the journey. And that's what life is. Life is this incredible journey. And there are times where it's going to be hard for sure, but there are things that we can put in place in our world that can make it a bit more fun. And whether that means there's people that we have in our lives, whether that means there's things that we make sure we prioritize to do, it doesn't negate the fact that there are challenges in this world. So I think that's the first thing to put in context, because sometimes I think when we say fun, we go, well, you know, walking on the treadmill or going to the gym isn't always fun. But when you think about what it means for you to do, so if you've got better mobility, you've got better strength, it allows you to do all those great things you want to do in life because you've got the fitness that are fun. So there are things that are the gateway to allow us to do that. And finding things that we enjoy for fitness, for example, might not be the treadmill for everyone. Maybe it's participating in a sport after school. Like it's finding things that actually bridge that gap. So it's just so important to know that we're not just being like really flippant about it and going, oh yeah, just go to therapy, just play with some toys. Let's have some fun. It's so much more targeted than that. But fun is the vehicle. Without that, none of us want to do anything. Really, if we don't see a purpose in it.
Absolutely.
So fun also equates to purpose. And the reason why we use the word fun is because it's obviously an F word and it fits nicely. But fun is, when we relate to kids, it's about their occupation. And their occupation is to play. I mean, brilliant. When does it stop? Hopefully never. But did we do that to ourselves?
I know. Well, and also as a parent, I'm like, oh gosh, when does the fun stop? When do we have to start thinking more about it? And like, it's already got me thinking about our journey and the difference just from when they're young and a baby. Everyone's got different experiences. For us, it was actually really easy to make things fun. Our child loved just being engaged with, right?
Beautiful.
So any attention, any engagement, he's for it. And so therapy was great, easy. Then we hit like 3 and I was like, oh, there's some thought and effort that actually has to be put into this. And things change. And even like when I think back about how therapy was working around that stage, we actually ended up having to like end some therapy relationships because therapists were great. I loved them. They were great qualifications, great intentions. But for whatever reason, he just wasn't finding the sessions fun anymore. And that was like a really big wake-up call to how important fun in therapy especially is.
Yeah.
Because without that, the engagement's not there, the willingness isn't there, and you're not getting results.
Yeah, absolutely. And it becomes a big waste of time, to be really honest, right? It's time to, it's your funding. That's just like the dollars is a very clear one because it's only finite, but also time. Time is finite. So you're driving to appointments, you are at the appointment, you're foregoing time that you could be better spent doing other things.
Most definitely.
So if it's not fun and there's not enjoyment in there, then you don't have that vehicle to learn that new skill. Because the question is why? Why would I do that if I'm not enjoying it?
Exactly.
So we're all like that. And I think that's why we need to come back to ourselves for it and just remember what it's like when we're learning something. You know, I remember the time when years ago I was a piano teacher, and I think I've spoken about this before, and that's when I really learned about it, where you'll have, if you can make piano lessons really fun and the kids really see it and they enjoy doing it, you're going to get far more buy-in and they'll probably practice a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And we all probably remember that music teacher that didn't make it fun or super strict, and you'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's the same old song.
Same thing, right? And then your parents would be like, I think we're wasting our time and money with this. And they pull you out. It's the same thing. Like if you love it and you enjoy it, you'll do it.
Yeah.
So it's not flippant, because if they love it, they'll do it. And at the end of the day, that's what therapy is all about. It's helping you to learn new skills.
Yeah.
And so if you can make it fun, that's the gateway. So it doesn't mean that it's not hard. Some skills are hard, but we can break it down.
Yes.
And find a fun way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And certainly as they get older, to make that fun, that's what we're learning. It looks different. And he needs to make that connection to, if I can do this better, then that's more fun. Or I can, so like our big thing now is all about making it easier for him to access the playground and play equipment and play with his friends. And so it's working on those skills to help make that. And he's now at the stage where he can make that connection.
Yep.
If I can work on this, then I can do this better.
Yes, that's right.
And that's so important.
And I can climb that pole.
Oh, yeah. And I can run away from you across the park.
That's right. There's a purpose to it all.
Exactly.
Yeah, helping them to see it. And as you get older, I think it's important. I love how you raise that as well. It does change. And so fun as you get older just becomes like a hobby.
Yes.
It's like, what are you interested in?
What
you know,
do
some
like?
kids are really into space.
Yeah.
They're really into science. And so you would use those as an opportunity to teach new skills, to increase vocabulary. So you would look for hobbies. So it's still fun because it's of interest.
Yeah.
And, you know, you meet people along the way in life and you'll see that people really light up when you talk about a particular topic and they know everything about it. Why? Because they want to look into it. They're interested in it. And it's fun.
Yeah.
So it relates to all of us, hey?
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely what we're finding.
Yeah, it's a journey. And I think it's one of those things that you do need to think actively about. It's not as simple as just going, we're just going to keep playing for the rest of our lives. I mean, it'd be nice to, but you do need to work at finding different ways. You might need to increase scope of interest and finding different ways. And sometimes it's finding different contexts for it to be fun as well. So a different setting, different people, different social group. All those connections and community at the end of the day is what you want for fun.
And I think that's what we're starting to learn as well, is that maybe we can forego some therapy hours to go do a community sport, to go do things after school with the kids, even if it's just getting a few kids together and kicking a ball. All of that is fun for him. He's still going to learn new skills. He's still getting out there. He's getting the fitness. But we might do that instead of doing a physio appointment that week or something like that. And that's where my head is now going.
That's great.
The more I'm learning about this, the more I'm understanding it, the more I'm like, do you know what? And then when he does go to therapy, he does great in it too, but it's not that's all there is. And I think that's how I've always viewed it, is that therapy is therapy, life is life. And I'm just so much more understanding, so much more open to how it all works and how important fun is.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's when you do those community activities that you might go, hey, actually, he's having a bit more trouble with this, and this. So let's bring this back to the therapist and go, how can we work on this? And so it can give you new ideas, and that's growth. That is like the perfect example of growth. So,
and your experiences as well.
And for me, I think it comes down to, like, I feel like my role and responsibility as a therapist is to help parents to be able to give everything they want to their kids, because there's not a single parent that I'll meet that doesn't want the best life for their kid.
Absolutely.
Right? Everyone wants their child to be happy, to have great experiences. And guess what? That's not always in therapy.
Yeah.
And I'm a therapist saying that. So if they're in therapy and they're not having fun, i.e., they're crying and they're distressed, that is just a complete no-go for me. People have heard me talk about this so much. And I've heard some people say, hey, Dana's very like anti this and anti that. I'm really just anti kids not having a good time in therapy, because that is not the way that they learn and develop and grow and feel safe with the people that they're around them.
Yeah.
So if they're crying, there's a reason for it. Let's find out why, and let's try to help them to find out who they are themselves, have the autonomy and the agency to be able to vocalize what they want and what they need.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm a little bit like, I'm really against this, because kids shouldn't be crying. They shouldn't be manhandled into positions that they don't feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
They should be learning about their own body, because that's their sense of self.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what parents are wanting. They don't want your kids to be miserable. Like, it's just the opposite is that, right? That's
and that's always the balance. Like we've talked about it before, that really tough balance of doing the right thing by your child, but what is the right thing by your child? And sometimes having to sort of rethink what that looks like and pushing them through therapy. And that's what we had that time, right around 3. And I would have probably wanted to push him through, because like I said, the therapists were lovely, the qualifications were great, their intentions were great. Why can't we just push through and maybe he'll change? And then I had to take that step back and go, he's not happy. This is a waste of time. This is a waste of money. He's not happy. And we've put a pause on that particular therapy for a good 1.5 years now. And now we only do it in intensive blocks, and he tolerates it in intensive blocks, and then he applies it for the rest. And then when we need another intensive block, we do another. And that's just what I've learned. That's just where he's at. And that will change over time. Again, once he realizes this particular thing he needs to do to learn something he's interested in, that he finds fun. And until then, we'll just keep doing it how we're doing it and making it fun.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's not static. It's dynamic. It keeps changing. And you'll know if it's the right thing, because your child will be happy.
Yes, exactly.
So that comes down to, I think, a parent's instinct, doesn't it?
It does come down to instinct.
And actually listening to yourself for it, because you know it.
You know it, but it is so hard when you're, like with everything, when your head and your heart don't match, what do you go for?
That's right. And I think ultimately be guided by wanting your child to have their best life. And it's okay to be guided that way. That's probably the best way. And that develops a great relationship with you and your child. They trust you to know, hey, I don't really like this. Can you help me?
And that is exactly what I see when I do honour that. You can see him immediately, that connection intensifies. He knows, okay, good, you finally got it, Mum. Geez, it only took a few weeks of me yelling and screaming about it.
That's right.
But you got it.
And then you meet your child where they're at. And then when you meet them where they're at, it's what we call the just right challenge. So everything about motor learning, the modern motor learning principles of how to learn a skill, one of the really important things is engagement. So that's fun. Like, what do they like to do? But it's the just right challenge. So if you set a challenge that's way too high, so if I said to you, okay, we're going to run a marathon tomorrow, Kate, you'd be like, no, stuff that.
You can do that.
Yeah, that's right. So that's obviously too high. But where are you at the moment? And that just right challenge means meeting them where they're at and then tweaking it a little bit to make it a little bit harder, so you'll learn that skill. So it's not having it so far away that they can't meet that challenge. And when it's too far away from where they're at, the response is going to be tantrums, crying, refusal. They're not happy. So the just right challenge is when they are happy. And I guarantee you that even though a session looks really fun, if you've got the just right challenge and you're really goal-directed and your therapist is talented in making sure they can mold that properly, you will get that new skill because they're engaged. So fun is actually more than just a simple word that we can use as an F word.
It really is.
It tells
so
you
much
so
more.
much.
It is. And very similar to what you said, Dana, like one of the best bits of advice that we got from a specialist from very early days that I do use to reflect on when I'm having those moments, wondering what I need to do, was definitely that my child being happy, content and feeling safe is the most important thing for his development and his health, that you'll see much better results from that than you would from pushing him. And I just remind myself of that in those hard times where I'm like, but this is what's best for him. And then I have to remember, maybe it's not what's best for him. I think it's what's best for him.
That's right.
But,
And I guess the final thing I'll put on that is because you've said it there really beautifully. And we've had discussions online about this many times before. So older motor learning theory-based therapies. Mm-hmm. So these are ones I've spoken about before, CME and DMI.
Yep.
You'll actually see on their website that crying or signs of distress is really just a symbol that they're working really hard. It is seen as that effort. And I would really challenge to say that is not the best way to bring out the gold in our children.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to make sure we nurture that relationship and their attempts to communicate as well. Because I think sometimes when you do push to that point, you're looking at your own timeline rather than their timeline.
Yeah.
And no one learns well when they're in the conditions of crying.
Yeah.
It is so incredibly different to kind of going, this is a new experience, this is scary. If that's scary, you still don't push through that.
Yeah.
You talk them through it and tell them what this is. And you know what? There's always a better way.
Yeah.
There's always a better way. Guarantee that. So interpreting in that way, I would highly caution against because we just know we don't learn under those conditions. None of us do.
And that even just makes me think then, like knowing what my little mum heart felt when we were doing the Voiter therapy and I was pushing through watching him scream, cry in pain or discomfort or whatever it was, and how that affected me then after and all of those sorts of things. And I just think it's so much more also than just that moment that they're crying and screaming that we're pushing them through. It's so much more than just that relationship. Mm-hmm. It's your relationships with people as well because you're carrying that with you as well. That like it's additional trauma we don't need. We don't need that extra trauma.
You don't need that.
No.
It's guilt. I put my child through that. So there's a lot of layers to this, but I think we can all agree that we just want our children to be nurtured and grow to be the best version of themselves. And that if they're enjoying it, then we know we're enjoying a good life. And that's why the F words are so pivotal in helping
they're
to
having
making
fun,
sure.
We're having fun. Everyone's having fun.
That's
and
right.
That's what's so important.
That's
Thinking
right.
holistically about the family. The fun is just so important for all of us.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
There we go. So I told you I could talk about this for ages.
Me too.
The simple word of fun is actually so much more than that, but it tells us a lot. So my main message is fun is important. It's the gateway for making things really effective, and then also make sure that we are challenging them at the right amount that will help them to learn their skills. And when we go over that, our child will tell us. And if they're not having fun, they ain't learning. You're not learning anything if you're not having fun. And fun just means what you're interested in. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm so looking forward to hearing more about fun from all our guests.
All our guests line up.
Got some great ideas coming, I bet.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. All right. Well, thanks for bringing this one up.
Cool. Thanks, Dana.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy that episode, everyone. And I hope you'll join us for all our interviews with people with lived experience coming up soon.
Yes.
Chat soon.
Thank you. Bye.